What's up guys, I'm Marco Feudale and I'm a luthier. I build guitars for a living. Welcome to my YouTube channel Feudo Music, where I usually talk about guitars and other things too. Today we're talking about guitars. Wow, incredible, on a guitar related channel. And we are talking about this thing, which is the Feudo Music Byzantium. So I built it for the great guitar build of 2021, and since I'm a competitor and the first round of elimination is decided with a vote, you could, I don't know, vote for me and this incredible looking guitar, right? Okay, vote for me, I'll give you jobs. I don't even know what I'm saying, but whatever. Jokes aside, but really, vote for me, give you jobs. This is a multi-scale 8-strings guitar with a neck-through construction. It has a rosewood neck, walnut fretboard, ash sides and a marble mosaic top. Yes, this is an actual marble mosaic, and I filled all the gaps with copper glitter and super glue. Now, you might be asking yourself, why did this idiot put marble on a guitar? Or also, what about the tonewood? Won't someone think of the tonewood? Well, to answer the second question is pretty easy. I don't give a shit about tonewood, alright? And neither should you. Just build your guitar. Don't worry about it. Just build whatever the fuck you want, with whatever material you want, alright? But to answer the first hypothetical question, I could say, why not? Or maybe the real question should be, why didn't you put marble on your guitar? What's your excuse? But seriously, the real answer is a bit more complex, okay? I wanted to build something that could stand out among all the other guitars in this competition, and also wanted to include some kind of design element which adds something typical about Italy, because if it wasn't already obvious by my incredible pronunciation, I'm Italian. I live near Rome in a town called Tivoli. So I started thinking, what is something typical about my country? Apart from corrupt politicians, of course, but I cannot put those on a guitar because maybe it's illegal to put people on a guitar. I don't want any problems, right? But one thing typical about Italy is food. So maybe I could put some kind of dish. I don't know, maybe un panino con la mortazza, una bruschetta, un po' di pasta matriciana, carbonara, arrabbiata, una burina a cazzo, ne so, raga. Okay, no, sorry about that, my Italian side kinda took over, but alright, you cannot put food on a guitar, alright, it would go bad. So, what to do? I started thinking, what is something really common here in my town, which is also Italian as fuck? Marble! We have lots of places where you can buy marble, and it's also pretty expensive! Yeah, it's really expensive to buy, but I was lucky because I got this and a bunch more for free, so yeah. Finally, having found all the materials I needed, I started building this guitar. First I sketched the body on my tablet, the rough shape of the body on my tablet, and then I draw it on a piece of paper and transferred it on the sides of the guitar. You can see here a picture. Then, for the fretboard and the neck, I had to make a few measurements using a CAD-like software. To be brief and avoid boring you with every detail, I used the position of the strings to calculate the dimension of the fretboard, and I used 60mm for the nut and 80mm for the heel. Then it was time to start cutting things out. I usually don't like using power tools. I prefer to cut things by hand, and I tried to do exactly that on this guitar as much as I could. For example, I cut the neck to the final thickness with a hand saw, okay? As you can see here in this live stream. But for the more complex shapes, I had to use a router, alright? At the very least, to get close to the final shape, and then I refined everything with rasps, a couple of knives, chisels, and a Dremel-like tool. Something that was really fun about this guitar was carving the claws out of the wood. I tried to buy actual claws to put them on my guitar, but I couldn't find them on the internet, so I decided to carve them out of wood. And I think they came out pretty well, and probably I'm going to use this design on other guitars, so yeah. However, let's take a step back. Before gluing the sides on my guitar, I had to get the neck to the final thickness and cut everything to shape pretty much. So I started by routing the truss rods cavities, because I have 2 truss rods in here, more on this later, and I cut the fret slots, the fretboard, the neck, I decided where to put my tuners, and a lot of other things. It's not unusual for an 8-string guitar to have 2 truss rods, because it gives more versatility when it comes to the relief. For example, you could set up a tighter neck on the high sides for solos, for example, and more looser neck with more relief for sustain on the bass side. Finally, with everything pretty much to shape, it was time for me to glue the fretboard to the neck and to shape it. I had to be really careful about it, because there are 2 truss rods in here, okay? So I had to be really careful not to cut into their cavities, but I was able nonetheless to get this neck really thin compared to other 8-string guitar that I played. I really don't like an 8-string guitar, because a part of the neck usually is flat, or at least the ones that I played. So I tried to make a C shape, and I removed as much material as I could from the sides of the neck. So the neck is really thin, and it's stable, because this rosewood here is tough as fuck. So yeah. Next, I carved everything to shape, and it was time to glue the sides to the rest of the guitar. It was not that hard to do, so I won't even bore you with the details, I just glued them, okay? Then it was time to carve the entire guitar out of the rough shape that it was in, and it took me a bit to do it. Because since I'm working 3 jobs and I'm studying for my master degree in nutritional science, I didn't have that much time to work on this thing, so it took me a couple of weeks to get to the final carving. But then the moment of truth had arrived, because I had to cut the marble. Of course, I tried to cut it by hand, even if I knew it was never gonna work, but I had to try anyway. However, I immediately decided that it was quicker to use an angle grinder with a diamond-coated blade. Needless to say, I was able to cut the marble pretty much to the final shape like it was butter. It took me a couple of mornings, but okay, I was pretty happy with what it came out. But the real problems were just around the corner. Since I still don't know the first thing about marble, I thought that my belt sander was gonna be able to grind the marble to the final shape, but it wasn't. At least it was able to do it for the thinner ones, but not for the thicker ones. So I ended up with less tiles than I thought. Actually, the white ones were just enough for what I had in mind, but the other ones were a bit less than I thought. So I had to space them a bit more than I planned initially, and filled everything with this copper glitter. I already planned to fill all the voids or the gaps with this copper glitter, but I wanted the mosaic to be a little bit tighter, But whatever, I think it turned out pretty well, all things considered. Finally, after many hours of polishing, the mosaic was done. I could move on to better things, or other things, let's say. For example, thread markers. So, I initially planned to do something different here. I wanted to carve a design that was gonna curl around the neck and the fretboard and use it with, like, thread markers, but I decided not to do it for two reasons. I feared that it was gonna draw attention away from the mosaic, so I decided not to, and then I didn't want to cover this beautiful walnut fretboard. So I decided to do something a bit more stealth, simpler but not less pretty. I decided to make this kind of geometrical shape and to curve a piece of brass around the thread and the fretboard and the neck. So this is kind of a thread slash side slash neck inlay, like marker. I wouldn't even know how to call it. But what I did was to carve everything with my Dremel tools. I carved the channels, then I hammered the brass to shape, and I glued it in place with super glue. I sanded everything down, and then I was able to finish the guitar. I stained it, I applied finish, and then frets, quick setup, assembled everything, and it was ready. And this is how it sounds like. So I hope this video was entertaining, I hope you had fun watching it, and I hope it was interesting. I tried to condense a lot of things down in 15 minutes to keep this short and to let you see everything that I did on this guitar. But if you want to see everything that I did on this, the entire build process, and maybe to replicate it, I'll post, or maybe I've already posted, I don't know yet, the complete build on my channel, both in Italian and in English. So I don't know, see you next time, and bella raga!